for coming. I really appreciate it. I think we all appreciate it. I'd like to introduce you to our guest of honor tonight. This is Mike Sweers, the Chief Engineer for Toyota Tundra and Sequoia. Please give him a round of applause. So Mike and I have talked a couple times, a couple Overland Expos this year. It's been an absolute honor. And last time I think we stayed a little superficial, Mike. He's so well media trained. He's such a veteran of this. He likes to stay right on the party line. And I said, gosh, when we go to East, the last one of the year, can we get a little more in the weeds, a little bit more technical, a little bit more nerdy? I'm a Toyota nerd. I've got 3 of them myself, including the 2022 Tundra. Thank you so much, Mike. Beautiful job. But I wanted to jump off here because I'm going to go off script. Sorry, Toyota. I wanted to impart to you folks, because I have forgot this. I met his whole engineering team a couple events ago, how few people actually develop these 2 products. I think most people will be shocked. I was shocked. Hundreds of people around the globe go into developing all of these products because it's a global platform now. But how many actually do the final engineering and refinement of this vehicle?
Well, first let me explain. My team we're called Z, and we are basically in charge of the concept to the grave of the vehicle. And so there's 120 engineers who design these vehicles, but in my team, and we're responsible for model life management, we're responsible for profit and basically everything about the vehicle. We have 6 members. We started with 8, two we have sent to other projects, and we have 6 members on the team.
I mean, I think it's incredible. 6 people finally tune and hone and develop the vehicles that you guys drive for the next 8, 15 years.
Longer than
I find that incredible. And
I'm driving a 30 today. We went off-roading with my 30-year-old Land Cruiser. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, woo. And we'll talk more about Land Cruiser here in a second. But I wanted you folks to know that when you talk to and you hear from the chief engineer, he's one of 6 people who really honed and tuned this product. So he is super hands-on, super knowledgeable, and really these products are sort of designed probably ultimately to Mike's his own desires and his own taste, which is super cool, and I love it. And it's such an honor for us to have him here.
So I have to say this.
Okay.
The guy who really does all the work is Jay back here.
Yes.
I'm just the guy that apologizes to everybody.
Did we lose you? Yeah. We lose the mics altogether?
Test, yeah.
All right, well, we're back. Good. All right.
Yeah, so my job is just to apologize for things that didn't go well.
So Mike, thank you so much for your hard work and making Mike look good. Okay, so stepping back, we had the last gen platform, which you said was sort of a tuned down version of Land Cruiser. Toyota corporate called you and your team and all the corporate or the other global teams. Oh, we lose you again? Is this cable loose? I don't know. We might have to hold it. Thank you. They called all of the ladder frame truck teams into Japan, and you guys spent, 2 years in Japan developing a platform together.
Yes.
Put us in the room. What was it like sitting down with your Australian, your Asian colleagues, and figuring out what you needed to do to make one global platform that would be so awesome as this one?
Yeah, I found out I was going to Japan in March, and we started the
March of what year?
March of 2017.
Wow.
So I would go to Japan once a month, and my boss came to me and says, congratulations, you're going to be in charge, you're the EC, Executive Chief Engineer in charge of F platform. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he says, yeah, we're going to take 3 platforms and put them into one. And yeah, you'll be, when you come to Japan in June, we're going to start this. And I said, yeah, I'm here every month. He goes, no, you'll be here in June. I go, yeah, I'm here every month. And he goes, no, you'll be living here in June. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not sure I signed up for that. But I was super excited because there was things that we had in North America that globally they didn't. Towing is what we focus on. with the full-size trucks, and making sure that we have the best capability of any truck to tow. But there's a lot of Land Cruiser things. I've got a HJZ 73 that I run around, and I love my Land Cruiser. And there's things about Land Cruiser I would love to have. And I'm thinking this is going to be great. We're going to combine these all together, and we're going to end up with this global platform that I can put any powertrain in anytime I want. I can swap powertrains between vehicles. I can swap suspensions. You know, just my mind's a whirl about all the possibilities of this. And then reality hit. And I used to have hair before we started this project, but it was extremely difficult. You know, Land Cruiser 200 was on what we call the F0 platform, and Tundra and Sequoia were on our F1 platform, and then we have an F2 platform we have some vehicles coming in the future, and we took all three of those platforms and put them together. And as you start trying to lay everything out, and you realize that you're dealing with about 42 different wheelbases and different tracks, and you know how to put all these vehicles on the same platform, it was quite the challenge. A lot of trying to solve problems that you didn't think you had because of space and that, and you know how to get enough fuel tank capacity for the different powertrains you're running. But the great thing now is we have the same underpinnings as Land Cruiser. So the Land Cruiser 300 and the Sequoia or that Tundra has basically the same platform underneath it. The only difference, LX is basically the same. It's running the same powertrain. The only real difference is Land Cruiser's still running hydro steering. We're running EPS.
And I can attest to this because when I lifted my Tundra, my 22 Tundra, I ordered Land Cruiser 300 series springs from ARB Australia, and I put them in, and they work, as the Australians would say, a treat. So it is true. It's amazing, and yeah. So what other changes though did you? Because you gave Land Cruiser towing capacity. What did they impart in you guys?
Well, of course, the componentry that they have and some of the bells and whistles that we've had in Land Cruiser before, but really just putting that extra durability.
Can you name them? What are some of those bells and whistles?
Well, we can talk about some of the treats that they had. Some, you know, crawl control. We never had crawl control before. We never had multi-train select before. I still haven't got E-turn in the vehicle, but maybe in the future we'll see E-turn in the vehicle. So there's a lot of these type of things that we didn't have the capability of doing that now we have, and we have the componentry to support that and maintain that durability. So, you know, our motto in engineering is that you can go anywhere in a Land Rover, but you need a Land Cruiser to get you back. And now these trucks have the same capability, basically, as what the Land Cruisers
That's awesome.
have.
So and include like ladder frame, rear coils, things of that nature. Were all Land Cruiser.
So I probably shouldn't say this, but if we want to get into the weeds, so we have what we call a rough road durability test, and there's different rankings that we have for vehicles depending on the regions they're sold in. And one of the things I really wanted to do, because my personal Tundra that I have a long travel suspension on it. And some of the reasons, you know, tire sizes and things that everybody's asked for, and we don't offer them as factory, is because I don't know what my limit is on the old platform. You know, how far can you push it? Everybody knows how far you can push them from what you do with your vehicles. But I wanted to make sure that as we move forward that we left a lot of that and that we truly understand where we could take the vehicle. So there's different levels in our vehicles, you know, where we rank these vehicles. So you have Tundra, and then you have 300, and then you get into the 70 series. Well, we took Tundra, this F1 platform, all the way to 70 series durability.
Wow.
So when we start talking, you know, what can we do mechanically, how far can we push it, that was the idea behind it, is actually knowing its limits and what it can do. And you know, we've tested it all over the world. We've been to Australia, we've been to Japan, we've been to Europe, we've been North America, all over North America with this vehicle, and trying to really understand the different conditions and what's going on. You asked about what did we add back? Well, we gave towing to Land Cruiser, and I don't know if you know the Australian market, but it's interesting to me. I'm a Michigan guy. In Michigan, we have what they call the snowbirds, and snowbirds head down south for the winter, and they pull their big RV down there, and you want to make that the best experience you can. It shouldn't be a white knuckle experience to tow. And so when we went to Australia, we started understanding their market because they have a big towing market as well. And it cracked me up because they don't have snowbirds, they have what they call gray nomads. Oh. And it's the same people, they just, instead of going south, they go north, this type of thing. Yeah. But so they were coming to us and they're saying, we want the towing features that you're offering. And that became part of this platform as well. So we could go back, and Australia is kind of interesting because they're super strict about your GCW. And it's just like if you were driving a Class 8 or a Class 5 truck, they have weigh stations, and if you're towing a trailer, you have to pull over and they weigh you on the spot. And if you're over, you're done. You have to just park it until you can get something else there. So, having that 3-ton towing capacity or greater than 3 ton is something they really wanted. And this is more of our expertise. And so from our team here in North America, that's what we gave back globally.
Cool. I was bragging to Mike over there. I was like, oh yeah, I towed my 92 Land Cruiser with the Tundra. It did so well. Oh my God. He's like, well, you were using Tow Plus, right? I said, I'm sorry, what? So I didn't know there were 2 modes to tow. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so as we're developing it and we're looking at the different features, one of our engineering team came and said, because to me, everything, whether you're off-roading, whether you're towing, everything that you do should be about control. I'm a 3-pedal driver. I like to be in control of my vehicle, and I want to make sure, we're lost again, I want to make sure that whatever the experience is, we're enhancing the driver's experience, right? And so we were talking about the different tow modes, and usually you have your tow haul setting, you push your button and you get what you get. But there's different size trailers, and with those different size trailers, how do you take a guy who's towing 12,000 pounds, or you take a guy who's towing a bass boat or towing a little camper or something like that, and you're putting in there and you're forcing him to run at gears that he doesn't need to run and burn a lot of fuel. So we came up with tow haul mode, which is under 5,000 pounds, and tow plus. But the great thing is, because we've changed our electrical platform in the vehicle, not only does it just change your shift mapping, your transmission mapping in there, it's also changing your acceleration mapping, it's changing your power, your EPS and how it's calibrated, it's changing your brakes and how it's calibrated. And we went one step farther as we hooked our TSS system into this. So we had trailer brake controller in the truck before, but it's tied in now with our TSS, our safety sense system. So now the vehicle, when you're towing, you got lane trace assist, and it basically will help you keep that straight going down the road with the trailer on there in emergency stop. So as you're going down, if you get in that traffic jam and you look up and you're looking at your phone or whatever, you shouldn't look at your phone while you're driving, but suddenly you get in that situation, you're like, oh crap, the truck will stop itself, and it'll stop a 10,000 pound trailer as well. Wow. I can honestly say it was the scariest testing, and I've been at this a long time. We have this blow-up car that you put out there. It's just a big balloon. If you hit it, it's no big deal. But it goes against everything you've ever been taught. And the test is you just hold the accelerator, down to the speed you want, your driving speed, and you just hold it down. And you're approaching this thing, it's like, I got to pull off and brake. Now, don't swerve, don't brake. Just keep your foot on the accelerator. And you're driving, and all of a sudden the truck comes to a stop. It's
Even with your foot still on the accelerator?
Your foot's still on the accelerator, and the vehicle stopped.
With 10,000 pounds behind you?
With 10,000 pounds behind you.
Wow.
That's a short changer. It'll make you brown your shorts pretty quick doing that test.
Well, I'm sure you saved some Australian lives with that. Thank you so much for that. All right, you keep talking about EPS, electric power steering. Let's talk a little bit about that, because you said Tundra gets it, Sequoia gets it, but Land Cruiser doesn't. What does it do for the vehicle, and how does it change? How does it change throughout the different modes?
So EPS, when we started, I've always been against EPS. I'm not a big fan of it. I like my hydro steering. I like to feel the road. I like to know where my wheel positions are. And in most vehicles have EPS in it now, but to me it's delayed. The steering feel is delayed. The on-center feeling, we have what we call steering build up. As you turn the steering wheel, you feel that pressure building up, and it just doesn't feel natural. And I fought it for years, but with our new safety systems in there, I had to go EPS. And with the EPS itself, as we're developing it, what I told them is, we've got to make it feel like you're actually connected to the road, that you know where your wheels are. If I'm wheeling, I can feel, where the rocks are. I can know how to direct it, that my build-up, my neutral feeling, the return to center feels the same. And the team really took it to heart. They worked super hard on developing the EPS unit. What I didn't know was coming out of it is the advantages like I talked about before, is we have multi-train select, we have the tow haul mode. As you change your modes, we're changing that steering feel. And body-on-frame trucks, if you all drive body-on-frame trucks, they're notorious for understeer. You go into a corner and the truck wants to go straight, basically, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so we can even, as you're going in the corner, depending on the mode you're in, it'll help with that understeer. So it's helping correct the truck itself without you even know it's doing it. So
Wow.
it's the goal is to enhance the driving experience.
How does electric power steering EPS change when you go into multi-terrain select MTS?
So you have different modes. And
Can you give us some of them?
well, you have rock mode, you have mogul mode, you
And they're
have,
different from 4 high to 4 low, right?
yes.
Okay.
And snow mode, there's, whatever terrain you're in, you have a mode for it.
Right.
And as you pick that, again, it's changing your shift mapping, it's changing your acceleration, how your throttle mapping, it's changing your steering calibration, it's changing your brake calibration. And we have one evaluation engineer who was in charge of all that. And kind of funny story, so we're off doing some rock climbing, and I like to be in control. I like a manual transmission. And so when I'm climbing in that, I always like to put the transmission in first gear, and I'll shift to second when I want. I like to be in first gear. And you don't really have to shift when you got the multi-train select in there. So he's got it tuned. So when I'm in rock crawl, I'm in second gear. And I came back and I told him, I'm like, I don't like this. We should be in first gear. And we're having a big debate out. Now, to be fair, he's a much better driver than I am, but I like to have the RPMs high. He likes the RPMs. He likes to control the RPMs himself. And so we're having this big debate. Well, mogul mode puts you in first gear. And so he's like, well, you can use mogul mode. And I'm like, no, rock should be, and we're having this big debate. And I'm like, well, finally it's like, yeah, I guess you could go in mogul. You can pick whatever mode
Right.
you want.
Right.
What suits your flavor. I mean, if you really want to be crazy off-road, tow haul plus is probably the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it holds your RPMs at 2400, and with our new V6 turbo, 2400 RPMs is where your peak torque starts, and
Wow.
you have all the torque you ever want.
You're hearing this for the first time, folks. I've never heard this before, so this is good. Cool. Okay. So talk more about because you said two pedal driving you like to do. You had to do a lot of calibration between throttle and braking response in the vehicle, so you could ensure customers could still do crawl control, which I'd like to talk about as well, and also two pedal driving if they wish.
Yeah.
Let's start with two pedal driving. Maybe establish for some of us who might not know what it is, and then what you had to do to ensure that it still works.
Yeah, so I think everybody probably knows two-pedal driving, but you're braking with your left foot and you're pushing the accelerator with your right foot,
Right.
and you're modulating between them. So it's really about control. And I guess the best thing is you're coming down a rock face and you got that stair step going in there. Can you slow that front tires down, that vehicle down enough without sliding down that next ledge, right? And so this two-pedal driving became a challenge to us because with the new safety requirements and the regulations coming out, having throttle cancel is really something that's being pushed, and even as Toyota policy, we're pushing that. So if you accidentally hit the accelerator instead of the brake, once you hit the brake, it cancels out the throttle. You can't, Well, that for off-road, that just totally messes everything up,
Right.
And so a lot of debate of how to get through that. And when you go in four-wheel drive, you've got some of that it defaults to two-pedal driving and allowing you to do that.
And then crawl control. Let's talk about that.
Crawl control.
Yes.
Crawl control. Crawl control is really like cruise control for off-roading. It's a very interesting thing. We introduced it on Tacoma in 2016, and I suffer from a little pride, so I don't like to use it because I want to do it myself.
I'll get myself out.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it really is fabulous, especially when you get into an obstacle that may be over your own capability, or that you're struggling to get up. It can do things you personally can't do, the vehicle can do, because it's controlling the wheel speed and wheel slippage independently at each wheel. And my favorite demonstration for crawl control is and this is something that's impossible for a person to do, but you can bury the truck up to its axles. So when we introduced the 2016 Tacoma with it, we had at the media event, we buried a truck up to its axles and then let the truck unstick itself. So it'll slowly, because it's moving each wheel, it'll build sand up underneath the wheels, and you watch this truck just raise out of the sand.
How does it do that, though?
So what it's doing is it's looking for wheel slippage. So the wheel will start turning, and as it slips, the sand builds under there. So when you've been stuck, anybody who's been stuck, the first thing you do is you'll see people floor it, and you dig yourself deeper, and then you try to ease into it, and the wheel spins, and you just keep digging yourself down. And what crawl control is doing is that wheel will start to slip, and then it'll move torque to the opposite wheel, and that wheel will turn. And the wheels what you see is they look like little gears turning. And then because they're not spinning, they're not throwing that sand out, they're spinning, that sand's going under the tire, and it'll keep building that sand up until it digs itself out.
But you told your team, guys, that system, because it works with analog brake system, right? The pump.
Yep.
It's too loud.
It's
next generation, I want it quieter.
If you've driven it, and that was the main complaint we got from most customers, is it's scary, it's loud. It sounds like it sounds like the vehicle's coming. And what it is that the ABS pistons are firing, right?
Right.
And when we went to team, I asked the team, I'm like, for the next generation of this crawl control, we've got to make it quieter. And I was expecting a little quieter and not so harsh. They took it to heart, and they quadrupled the speed of the ABS pump. So it's now firing about 4 times faster, and what ends up happening is you can't even hear the thing operate. So the first time I drove the prototype, I'm like, is it working? I can't hear it, but yeah, the new generations, it's amazing. If you have never tried it, I go out and test drive one, because it's really amazing what the thing can do.
I don't know if the dealer's going to let them bury it up to sand, in the axles in sand, but you can ask. Yeah. Let's transition here a little bit. The hybrid system that has come standard on Sequoia and is available on Tundra. Why develop a full-size hybrid?
The hybrid, when we started the project, we have a new 3.3 liter diesel, V6 diesel, turbo diesel.
Who's we?
We as Toyota.
Toyota Global, not
Toyota
US.
Global. Toyota Global. So like I said, we have a common platform now. So we have new powertrains. Land Cruiser's getting the diesel.
Yeah.
I really want a diesel engine. I love diesel engines. The problem with the diesel is our emission standards that we have. And diesels are going away. Whether we like it or not, they're going away. And the biggest struggle we have is the diesel cost itself, but the after treatment system for a diesel is about $3,000 on top of the engine cost to put in there. So when you start looking at it, and that the engine the life of the engine isn't going to be that long, it's going to be a few years, and then it has to go away, and it just didn't make sense. So it used to be it took about a year, because you have to certify a vehicle, you have to run that emission system for approximately a year, and then you go into certification. You can't just test a new emission system. Because of our friends at another company, and some of their diesel problems. Now you have to certify, you have to age that emission system 3 years before you can certify.
Wow.
So it's just a massive cost, and I was fighting for the diesel, and my boss in Japan told me that wasn't happening, and I went back to him and kind of cried and whined that life is going to come to an end if I don't have a diesel engine to drive, and he told me no, and then I went in really hard and said I need a diesel engine. He told me no. So we came back and we were talking about the gas engines and what we want, and our 3UR, our V6, our V8 gas engine, same thing. As emissions-wise, it's getting hard to certify that engine. So they came and they said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want a diesel torque curve. That's what I want. If you can give me a diesel torque curve, that would be great." And the V6, our V6 turbo engine that's come standard in the truck, you know, it hits peak torque at 2,400 RPMs, and they came back and gave that to us. And I said, well, that's nice, but you know, it's still not matching diesel numbers. So then they introduced the hybrid, and we played around with the hybrid before, but we got serious about the hybrid, and they came back and they're with a number to me of the torque, and I'm like, you know, it's good, it's not great. And they came back and they said, how about 583? That's what we can get out of it if we throw everything at it. And I'm like, 583 pounds-feet of torque. That sounds that sounds like diesel territory, right? And so I really, as we're developing it, was sold on the hybrid, because the downsides of diesels that a gas engine offers, you've got the benefits of the gas engine without the demerits of a diesel engine, but you got the diesel engine power, you know, especially in the low torque range. And so, you know, cold weather starting it is an issue, and fuel economy, you can get better fuel economy than just a gas engine. And as we started looking at what you can do from a towing standpoint on there, it really gives you a lot of benefits towing, because what the hybrid, that MG, that motor generator, is doing, and it's not the same as our other hybrids. We call it a sandwich design. It's a one motor design, and the motor's stuck between the transmission and the engine. And what that allows us to do is we can combine the two together, and that's where the 583 is coming from. But the great thing is our gas engine torque curve goes up, it hits 2,400, it goes across flat, and it comes back down. Great torque curve, but you still got to spool the turbos up. So what the hybrid does is, why that turbo is spooling up, I'm putting electric motor energy behind that, and you have no turbo lag. You just go, you know, the electric motor, not really, but theoretically is like an on-off switch, right? You give it the juice and you've got full torque. So we can hit our torque, our peak torque, quickly, and then it'll flatten out, and the gas engine can take over. And when you really want the power and you jump in the accelerator a little bit more, now you combine the two together and you get 583. And we were testing on Davis Dam. I don't know if you've ever been to Davis Dam, but everybody tests. That's out. Well, it's out west. Yeah, end of Arizona. What town is it near? It's in the middle of the desert. Anyways, Davis Dam's one of the towing testing areas you have to get out there. And I jump on, we've got 12,000 pounds behind the trailer, and I jump on the truck, and it just takes off, and we're heading up there. And Davis Dam, to meet 2807, the SAE standard for towing is 2807, J2807. And the requirement is you have to maintain 45 miles an hour with max towing capacity to go up Davis Dam. And Davis Dam is 11 mile, 12 degree grade. Yeah. Anyways, it's a long, steep grade. You get the semis on the side, and they're, you know, flashers going. And everybody, if you ever go to Davis Dam, you'll see all OEMs out there testing. But we're going up this, and I'm doing 70, speed limit 65. I'm doing 70, and I still got like 20% throttle left. It was amazing. Wow. And I'm like, okay, hybrid's cool. I can live with a hybrid.
That's awesome. So is it essentially the electric motor is, I'm going to put it in layman's terms or like maybe oversimplify, hooked to the crankshaft and is juicing it? Is, kind of goosing his
Well,
torque?
what's happened is the engines, your engines, we still have a torque converter in there.
So the
right.
torque converter is between.
So you've got the engine,
Yeah.
you've got the motor generator, you got torque converter, you got the transmission.
Yep.
So because of that combination that's going through there, we've got the series system, so we can drive either one. You can ride in electric mode, you can drive in gas mode, you can drive in combined mode.
Okay, so it can hook up and juice or kind of goose the power coming out of the engine into the.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
On both sides of the torque curve and on top of the torque curve. So
Wow.
as you're reaching peak torque and you're coming down, that again we got our MG filling that in, so we can take that flat torque curve even further.
Cool. And so that's standard in Sequoia.
That's standard in Sequoia. It's an option on Tundra.
So I know, like a lot of folks like me who have lamented the loss of Land Cruiser in the North Americas. I've owned 3 of them, and I own a 92 right now. Can you make us feel a little bit better about how Sequoia is carrying the torch forward for Land Cruiser in America?
Well, what I will say is it's a longer wheelbase.
Okay.
So you have to keep that in mind.
But you've got the factory or the Toyota installed lift kit.
We have a lift kit.
Yeah. And it goes on Sequoia?
Incoming.
Oh, sorry guys, I didn't mean to break that.
But so it's again, it's the same platform. It's a same driveline, LX, which is the Lexus version of Land Cruiser. Same driveline as that. Basically, it's the same truck, just a little bigger.
Yeah.
If you want a family cruiser, this is the one.
So you want an Overland truck that it can seat 7.
Yeah,
This
or
is the
just a
one.
lot of space. It's got a lot of
Yeah,
space
yeah.
in it. We had it out at Moab earlier this year, and we were playing around with Moab with it. It was
And for the first time ever now to Sequoia, you can get rear locker. What else?
You can get again crawl control, multi-train select, rear lockers in this.
Killer.
You can get if you get the Pro, you get the TRD suspension with an inch lift in it.
Yeah. Why do they have different fascias? I wish my Tundra had the fascia of the Sequoia.
That's a styling question.
Okay, all right. Well,
But styling really wanted the trucks to look different.
Oh, I understand.
And my thing on styling of trucks, and this is what I told our styling guys at Kelty, is I never want our truck to be mistaken for anybody else's.
Yep.
And I never want our truck, you have to walk around, there's trucks out there, I won't mention names of the companies, but you got to walk the front end and go, oh, okay, that's the latest generation, right?
Yeah.
The side profile is the same as the last 2 trucks were.
Yeah.
The truck should look different. And,
I agree. Yeah.
we just really, how to make it stand out. And it's a polarizing style, there's no doubt about it. But for Tundra, it's great because we are limited on our capacity, and it's one of those love-hate. There'll never be a mistaking a Tundra for something else.
Yeah, that's so cool. All right, I'm gonna put your feet to the fire for a second. If you were going to build up for these good folks a Tundra and a Sequoia, clean sheet, what trim and what packages and then what like dealer accessories would you bolt to it to make you think the ideal Overland Tundra or Sequoia?
My marketing guys are going to kill me. I would start with an SR5 with an off-road package.
That's what I got. Feeling good.
And or if you don't like the fabric seats, a limited, because you can get the soft tech in there.
I got soft tech in the SR5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
you get the premium package.
Yeah, there you go, premium.
I would get the 14-inch display with the MTM in it.
Okay, let's talk about that because I made the mistake. I got the 8-inch screen. I know. I love this guy. He's peanut gallery over here. Thank you. All right, what does the 14 do for you that the 8 doesn't?
Well,
This much?
yeah.
Oh! All right.
So it's it gives you the MTM system. So
Which is
you
what?
can get PVM, which is the panoramic view system. The MTM is our
What
off-road
does that
camera
stand for?
system.
Multi-terrain management?
Multi-train monitor.
Monitor. Okay.
So, but what it gives you, basically, is all your views, your camera views, and plus you get an underneath view of the vehicle. So the goal behind the MTM is to be able to drive off-road without a spotter. So it will give you the front view, it will give you the side view, it's got markers on the side view, it shows you your wheel position that's out in front of you and where you're going to go, predicted going to go, and you can turn the underneath view, and it doesn't have an underneath camera because we can't keep it clean and we can't keep it on the truck. Tried, knocked them off. But it memorizes there, and then it calibrates takes the vehicle speed and calibrates what the view it's showing you. So it's showing you what's going underneath the vehicle, where your wheel position is, and you can, if you're trying to straddle a rock or something, you can place your vehicle where it needs to be. What I really like is the side markers on there. If you're on a short trail, you know, and you've got the nice drop off over there, or you're trying to avoid a rock, you can actually see how close you are to that rock because it's giving that view all the way around the vehicle.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, the front-ish camera is recording what's going underneath and displays it as an underneath camera in a delay?
Yeah, so it's, as you're driving, it looks like one continuous picture. You're just seeing what's going underneath your vehicle.
Yeah.
So when you first turn it on, you got a black screen, and all of a sudden you'll see it going under as it's recording.
So
it's showing
effectively
you.
About where underneath the vehicle is it showing?
It's going to about, it's right after the transfer case.
Oh, that far back?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe almost underneath the...
About the B pillar, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so there's not another camera down there, it's just recording the whole...
It's recording it. And that was just due to protect, because we couldn't protect the camera. We couldn't figure out, you know, how to keep the camera on, and if you tuck it under there, how do you keep it clean?
Right.
So we were out wheeling today and doing a lot of water fording, and you can imagine what a camera would look like after you got through 4 feet of water,
right.
or some water.
Right. Yeah, he didn't say that number. So, okay, we can start out SR5. We've added 14-inch screen, which I didn't do. Boo. What else?
So I guess the first thing I would do is put our factory lift on there,
Yeah.
a 3-inch lift on there. Of course, you got to change the tires out at least 35.
What does the 3-inch lift give you? Is
3
springs?
inches.
No, but like what's
Oh,
the component?
it's a suspension.
much?
It's it's about this much. It's a suspension lift.
Yeah.
So it's not a body lift on there. It's not a leveling kit. It's a suspension lift on the truck. So you're getting control arms, basically the suspension.
Longer axles too?
I'm sorry?
Longer axles?
No, you aren't getting longer.
Oh, I thought there were longer axles in the
No.
kit. Are you sure about that?
No.
Okay. I thought there were. Jay?
No,
Just roll arms, shock.
just tie rod.
Okay. I thought there were longer axles in the kit.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
sorry, guys. I got too excited. Keep moving.
So, wheels, tires. Again, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'd change out my front bumper, get a winch on there. I'd probably change out my rear
I said
window.
factory or dealer installed. Come on.
Hey, we can install those.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
So,
all right.
but things to keep in mind when you go to a 35, it's not going to fit underneath the truck. So you got to figure out where you're going to put your tire. So whether you put it on a bed rack, whether you put it on a roof rack, whether you put it on a swing out on the back, it will not fit underneath the back of the truck.
Yeah.
So you've got to take care of that.
I fitted underneath 35 underneath mine when airing it down to like 30.
Yeah. And 2 men and a small boy pushing it up under there as you
No,
crank.
just me and my legs. They're just kicking it.
Oh, okay.
Looked like I was throwing a tantrum underneath the truck. Okay, and then what else? I mean, like,
Oh, well, so we offer Yakima bed racks.
oh, cool. Okay.
that you can offer as their dealer options. Gosh, now you're making me think. Oh, the other thing I would say is, and now that I just talked up my hybrid, I'd probably go with a gas engine as well
Okay, instead of a hybrid?
instead of the hybrid
Oh.
because we put the battery pack under the rear seat, and again, that's to protect the battery pack.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time designing more storage in Tundra. So underneath the rear seat, there's a huge amount of storage under there. There's special shelves under it to fit all the gear that you'd want. Depending on if you're a hunter, it may hold certain items that you take hunting and these type of things.
Oh, okay.
So there's just a lot more storage without the battery pack in there.
Okay. That's fair. What length bed would you get?
6.5.
6.5. All right.
It's a little long for trails,
Yeah.
but it's hard to fit a lot of things in a 5.5 foot
Right.
bed.
Right. All right. Well, you're making me feel pretty good, except for I didn't get the MTM. But
You're gonna have to do 37s with the 6.5.
well, we're about to ask. Can you fit? What do you got to do? What's the question? So we did some of the questions. Now I'm going to turn to questions from you guys that we were asked earlier in the day. What gear ratio do you need to fit 37s?
So we went to, and this is, if you haven't heard, we have a 331 in under there, and a lot of
331 gear ratio for the rear.
for the
Okay,
rear,
Okay.
and a lot of development. It was great because we have an all new transmission and an all new rear diff, and when we started working on it, well, I have a new front diff too. But when we started working on it, we started playing around. What puts that power to the ground the best? What can give you the best fuel economy? What you can do off-roading that? And the final drive ratios that we came up and the gearing we came up with, we ended up with a 331 in the rear. And I was a little concerned about that from the towing aspect. Tows perfectly. The great thing is 35s, 331's no problem. 37s, probably no problem.
Cool.
And I say probably because we might have built a truck, didn't try it, but
We have one. It works.
it works. And what I'll say is my 2020 that I run around, I'm running 35s on there. I purposely didn't put the 37s on because I didn't want to change the gear ratios.
Oh, okay. So, okay. You heard it here first, folks. All right, here's another good question. I've been running this too. Where are the tow hooks on the front bumper of the Tundra?
This is where I started, most of my job is just apologizing. But, we had issues with the aerodynamics in the front and meeting the aerodynamics and future regulation of PED Pro
That's
for those
pedestrian
protection. Yeah, it's a regulation that was supposed to be out when we launched Tacoma in 2016. We're still waiting for it, but under Toyota, we're a very conservative company, and I have to meet future regulations when I put a new vehicle out. So we're working on that. What I can say is, when you ask what options I put on, we might have something coming in the near future.
Oh,
We might.
okay. That's exciting. I love that. All right, the hard left turn on Sequoia, is the third row removable?
No.
Okay, great.
And let me explain why it's not removable.
Please.
Because the battery pack is under the third row.
Okay.
And again, to protect that battery pack, we have crazy tests to make sure that no one ever destroys a battery pack. There's your normal test where you run, vehicles together, the crash testing and that. But we drop barbells. We have a test where we have stiletto shoe test. It's actually a spike that comes down. You'd have to have about a 900-pound woman in stiletto steels to poke through that battery pack. But we have a test that you fire a rod down through there. But if anything ever dropped on there, if you spilled water on it, if you did these type of things, we have to protect that battery pack, and that third row is protecting it. Because of that, and understanding the space need on there, we used to have an adjuster on the second row. We found that most people don't use that adjuster on there. They complain because when you dump the seat, it slid forward, and then they couldn't figure out how to get it back, and then it was stuck in a position they didn't like. So we fixed the second row, and we put the adjustable seat in the third row. So now you can move that forward or reverse, and then what that gives you is the best second row to third row couple distance. Couple distance is the distance between each occupant, and with it all the way back, or you can put 4 large suitcases or a fridge or something behind the seats with it pushed forward and still get a guy my size, 3 guys my size sitting back there.
Cool. Is there going to be a TRD off-road package for Sequoia?
A TRD off-road package.
Like there is on Tundra? Oh, okay. All right. When is Sequoia going to be available in dealerships?
That's a great question. So we're building them right now.
Okay.
They were just released, so they should be showing up at any time. And yeah.
Cool. And your team is based out of Michigan, right?
We're based out of
And
Michigan.
then the truck is assembled in Texas.
San Antonio,
This is
Texas.
Designed, developed, built in America.
Yes, it is.
I love that, man. Unlike some other companies.
It's great because, like I said, we had 120 engineers that designed this vehicle, here. We had 42 that we sent to Japan to work on the platform, and then the upper body, we call it the upper body. We had 120 engineers working on that, and most of them are truck guys. So sometimes you have to motivate people to work on certain projects, but trucks, they aren't. And it's kind of cool because we gave them some freedom. Is if you have an idea, my favorite is the tailgate. I've been on we call it Keno engineer, but I've been on the hardware engineer for years because I wanted my tailgate, the key fob, to drop the tailgate.
Yeah.
And funny story about that, but he fought me on this, and and we were going in, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, can you come to the white body room and check out the tailgate release?" And I said, "Norm, if it is not on the key fob, I'm going to fire you." And
you must be like to work for.
he goes, "Just come down and watch us." And he comes by, and he's got a mock-up up there with, I don't know if you know what a proximity sensor is, but like the kick sensors you have under an SUV. And he says, "Watch this." And he's got his Yeti cooler. He picks it up. He says, "Here's my problem with the key fob. I pick up my cooler. I walk over. I got to set my cooler down. I got to open take the key fob out of my pocket, hit the key fob. He goes, "If I'm going to do that, I might as well just hit the handle." I said, "Fair enough, Norm." He goes, "How about this?" And he picks it up. He walks by and he rubs his elbow, and the tailgate drops. And I'm like, "Okay, that's pretty cool." But you're still putting a key fob release on there because I like it.
Good man. Cool. So you've been with Toyota how long?
32 years.
And what was your first job there? You just told me about this.
Oh, my first job. So I worked at I'm going to date myself. I started my career at Oldsmobile, and I went to Chrysler, and then I came in '90 to Toyota. So I was the second American hired in R&D in North America, and second design engineer, I should say. And the first job they gave me was to design the GeoPrism emblem we were building that NUMMI, and it was like full circle. I started at GM, I go to Toyota, and I'm just designing a bow tie, with the world around.
Yeah, right. Well, you've come a long way from the global bow tie.
Yeah.
I thank you, man. The truck is awesome. I've done many long overland trips. It's been such a delight to drive. This truck brought me back from the brink, which I'll call Jeep, back to Toyota, and it's been such a delight, such a treat. I love the truck so much, and thank you for building it. Thank you to Jay and your team, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for listening to me ramble on.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you all for being here.